please welcome Libby Christensen. Libby, hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm good.
So like many others, I found you on Instagram the other day when you were sharing your story very bravely out there about your experience as a person of color with a certain brand name.
Right.
If you want to go ahead and kind of explain a little bit about what that, I don't want to call it controversial, but it was like very, to me, it was just brave and badassery. So like, if you
Thank
want to
you.
explain kind of like what that was so people know like this is
Sure.
what people were finding.
So I decided to go on my Instagram and talk about all of the Black Lives Matter movement and how some brands, they failed with speaking out. Sometimes it felt like it was a little late or it was forced because people were acknowledging that they hadn't said anything. And with the Black Lives Matter movement, you don't have to be extremely educated. You just have to say 3 words that you believe. And for some companies not to say that, such as Bomar Nutrition, it was just dishonorable to even try to come back and justify that. So I decided to speak out on my Instagram and explain that it's not that difficult. If you're going to be learning, that's okay. But I think that the people who are standing behind the Black Lives Matter movement from the start, they know how to say those 3 words. But I decided I was going to share my experience. I was their only Black athlete on their team for an entire year that I was with them. I decided to stop posting about them prior to my contract terminating. And I got a little bit of backlash from the owner, Sarah Bomar, and she decided to tell her athletes that are staying that I'm a liar. So I was like, okay, I'm going to come with receipts. And that's exactly what I did.
Yes, I saw that the other day and I was like, wow.
And
I
they
mean,
just don't value their athletes. It's so sad.
that is really sad, and I am so sorry for your experience. And like, I mean, when I first saw it, I didn't really question it because and this is probably not the best thing of me to just like believe what I see on social media, but like all around Twitter, there's just like receipt upon receipt of DM
Yes.
with her. So it wasn't really like that far off for me to believe. It's like the kind of, like sneaky passive aggressive stuff that just seems like something I saw already. So definitely believe
Yes.
that. I'm sorry you had to like prove yourself, but I'm glad you did. Like,
That's okay. It just baffles me because she deactivated her entire Twitter, which is where she's been like majorly racist, like passive aggressively and directly on Twitter, but she deactivated it. So if you are trying to change and you are trying to use the information that you have and the knowledge and resources that you have, please reactivate your Twitter, make it known, own up to it, and move forward.
yeah.
But when you're just sitting there and you delete it because you know that that's where the evidence is at, that's so like, that's irritating.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of, I was actually talking to my girlfriend about this last night. It takes a lot of like self-reflection for people to do
Yes.
that, and not everybody is capable of that, and that's just really unfortunate. So it's like, but if
This
you
is
were to
true.
do that, like, come on, just like, can you try? Like,
Just try, please. But then we also don't want you to do it out of, oh, these people are pressuring me to do so. We
yeah.
want you to know in your heart that you believe this and to proudly say it, just as we are.
Kind of feel like, what you like did kind of started a wave for her, and she's probably gotten tons and tons of whatever from whoever everywhere. And I
Right.
feel like when that kind of a thing happens to you, you should be like forced into a corner to be like, damn, what did I do wrong? Like, I need to sit here and think
To
about
at least acknowledge it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that would have been my first move personally. I also am not the same. I don't know her background. I'm not close, or really, I don't really know her at all.
I
Besides,
never met her in person in the entire year that I was with them, and she barely spoke to me. What also just threw me for a loop is when I did bring this up, that they had not brought awareness to this whatsoever, she started deleting people's comments. Like, that's just the most weird act that you could do, and that just shows who you are. Like, people are trying to educate you and ask you, why aren't you speaking up about this? It's a simple question.
yeah,
And she just goes ahead and, I'm going to block these people and I'm going to delete their comments. it's like you're trying to dismiss the Black Lives Matter movement until you can't anymore.
Yeah, well, I think very heavily that karma will do her job.
Yes.
That's where I'm gonna leave that one. But yes. Okay, so I did have 15 questions that I sent you ahead of time, so we're gonna go ahead and get into that
Yes.
now.
Let's do
Okay,
it.
so start out telling me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Libby Christensen. Hello. And my Instagram handle is also Libby Christensen. I am 22 years old and I'm from Kansas. I was raised in a not too small town, but I was raised in a predominantly white area, and I was adopted by 2 white parents, my twin sister and I. And I've learned so much about that and so much about myself, and I'm so proud of where I've come from. Literally, my post yesterday on Instagram just opened up another door for people to learn about me, which
That's
I'm more than
awesome.
happy to do because I love my story so much.
That's awesome. Yeah, I obviously am a new follower to you, so I didn't know that you were adopted, and that's really cool, so special, and it's cool that you're proud of it. I work with foster adopted autism children,
Hmm.
and it takes me with my clients a long time because I usually have them when they're younger, so like they don't really appreciate it or
Right.
understand it yet. So it's cool to hear somebody actually be like, I'm so proud of that. That like makes my heart just personally.
Yeah. I used to be like, I'm adopted. Like I would whisper it, but like that's just who I am. And that's just my story, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is your greatest accomplishment?
Okay. My greatest accomplishment, I feel like I could say, I graduated high school, but I feel that my greatest accomplishment is overcoming the obstacles that I was dealt with that were not my choice, because I was a child that had fetal alcohol syndrome and I was on cocaine withdrawal. Like I'm a little drug baby.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like even making it through the first months of my life was so powerful. So just being able to say like, oh, I made it through being a crack baby. Oh, I made it through having fetal alcohol syndrome, and I'm still continuing to learn about myself and to push myself into these situations where I can educate others.
Yeah,
I
no,
feel accomplished.
that's super powerful, and like there's a lot of people who have come from situations like that, myself included, where it's like
Mhm.
that's something that you're like almost identified with when you're growing up, like you identify
Yes, you like that it
yourself with
consume
that.
you.
Yeah, and you're like, this is all that I am. That's all that you like
Right.
measure yourself and value yourself as. So then like once you get to be an adult and you're like, wow, I made it through that, and I'm a strong ass bitch, like what?
Yeah,
You know what
I
I
really
mean?
am. Like that's
Yeah.
insane.
Yes, so I am all here for that accomplishment. I love that. What is your dream job or current career, and how has the color of your skin affected the process of pursuing this career?
So I want to say I felt like my dream job has just been to be my own boss. That's all I've wanted. And I've worked so many jobs. I recently quit my most recent one literally like 2 weeks ago. Not even. But it wasn't because I didn't feel valued because of the color of my skin or anything. Social media has just taken so much of my life,
Mhm.
and I just want to be able to pursue that and to educate people and use my platform, because I wasn't given a platform for no reason. And if I'm able to be financially backed by it, then I don't see, know, I don't at least not try it out and go for it, because I mean, I am also still a college student. I go to the University of Kansas, and with all these things, social media, in addition to like trying to educate people and then being a full-time student and working, it was just so much at once, and it really helped me to kind of eliminate one of those things and make it double as
Yeah,
another.
sure. That's really cool. So you recently took that like leap of faith. How was that?
Yes, the one that everyone talks about, the I quit my job to pursue social media.
Oh my
That's the
God.
one.
So what is something that has been assumed about you solely because of the color of your skin that you would like to share?
I feel like a lot of people that lacked education would just pass judgment on people of color so easily. I've been like people assume that I have one Black parent and one white parent, although I may have come from that. Both my parents are white. That's such a surface level thing.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of people, they assume that people of color are somehow like they're scary. We're
Yeah.
not, because like with my boyfriend, he's a Black male in America. Just because of his size and his skin tone, people see him as like a threat. And that's how a lot of people view Black men in America. But JJ, my boyfriend, is the most kind-hearted person I've ever met in my entire life. And everyone who meets him says, oh my gosh, he's a teddy bear. He just looks so scary. I'm like, he has the most pure soul and softest voice on earth.
Yeah. I feel like that is definitely a heavy like misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely see that every single day, and yeah, I'm so excited for this movement because I feel like it's just like people are
This
finally,
could be the tipping point of change, you know?
hell yeah, it is. And I feel like people are finally gonna see like new, like me. Oh my god, this is gonna be so embarrassing and probably not politically correct, but me and my girlfriend, majority of our friends are Black, and they're always calling us like their Black white girlfriends because we are so Black hearted, I guess, just like
No, I feel
our
exactly what
heart.
you're saying.
Yeah.
Like you channel Black girl energy sometimes. I
Literally,
get
that's
it.
like what we have.
No, I know what you're saying for sure.
And like I just,
You channel their power and you channel them
yes, and
like
it's
because
so
they are so
beautiful.
strong and it just rubs off on you.
Funny and confident and like literally so strong and so supportive. And like literally having yourself a group of Black friends will make you a better person. I swear to God, I will stand by that comment.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
I'm not even kidding.
Absolutely.
Like,
Diversify your friend group. So
hell
many
yeah,
people grew
diversify
up
your
with people
life.
that looked exactly like them. You have to learn other people's experiences and other cultures.
Yes, 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 yes. And it makes you a better person. And it honestly, not only that, but it brings so much like life and joy to your life.
Yes.
Like when I have my friends over and we are here, it is a party. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it go like it levels up. Like people just need
Yeah.
that energy in their house. They need it around their life. They need it at work. They need it in the companies that they work with. Like that's what like I couldn't believe that you were the
Yes.
only Black athlete there. I was like, what? They don't have any more of that energy? Like, what's
Uh,
wrong with you? Like that's how you're
I know.
gonna
And
go
even the
somewhere.
athletes didn't realize it. I'm like, y'all didn't see
I
me
saw
out
that.
of all of you.
I saw that. I saw a couple
Okay.
people post and be like, I didn't even know that. Like she was the only one.
Yeah.
Like that's so crazy. And you know what? After this movement, like I'm in school right now and I've noticed everywhere now. It's like anytime I'm seeing predominantly white things, like in my training classes, my school courses, it's like showing examples and they use like those stock pictures and it's always a white person. And I was like, what?
Yes.
I'm like noticing all these things that I had never noticed before. And I'm like,
Yeah.
really? And then, like you said, which is really fucked up, the pictures that they do use of Black people are always like demonstrating like this is an angry person or a
Yes.
whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck? And like I was like calling my teacher out the other day. I'm like, what the fuck is this about?
How stereotypical. Like,
Yeah.
cut
And
it
I
out.
didn't notice that before until like now. And I'm like, I feel shit about it, but like it's true. Like I'm like, but at the same time, like it's gonna take like white people admitting that and like being like, yeah, dude, I never saw that. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with admitting that, but we have to admit it to like get somewhere. Like,
Correct.
come on. Can you explain a time where you and or someone that you know was discriminated against?
Okay. My boyfriend, JJ, he
Mhm.
had this other job and the managers there, JJ was like one of two people of color that worked there.
Mhm.
And the managers made it a point to assign more work to he and the other Black person that was working there, like in relation to the white people. And they started to call it out. And he said, this is racist. You
Mhm.
can't give us more work. We have like, we're less people here trying to work on this. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And he called it out. And he said, this is racist. So the woman that he was talking to about it, she got so heated about it that she used the N-word, called him the N-word. She said, I'm not racist. And you know what comes next? Like, you can't tell me that you're not racist if you're just going to scream this word to my face. So that moment he quit and he called me. He said, so I don't have a job anymore. And I said, why? He said, because they called me the N-word and I'm not about to stand and work for them. I said,
Oh my
that's right, baby.
God.
We're going to get you a new job.
Hell yeah. My jaw is literally on the floor.
It's
I'm like,
crazy,
what?
dude. Like,
That is
undercover
not
racists come out every
okay.
single day. Like, you just have to get them to the point of it. Like, you see these videos. Have you seen the video of the man who had, like, some homemade machete arm chasing the little girls that were protesting around? He hopped out of his car, has this crazy arm on. I think I posted on my story. I said, sir, what in the fuck is this? Put this
Oh my
Terminator arm
God.
down immediately.
No, I didn't
Like,
see that one. I felt like I've seen them
I
all.
will
And I'm
send it to
like,
you.
still, there's something I haven't seen yet. Oh my gosh. That is what the fuck?
I know. It's a WTF moment.
Oh my God. Well, that is absolutely not okay. And fucking all the kudos in the world to your boyfriend. I'm so
Yes.
proud of him. You do
I
not
mean, he has to
do
go through the world every day and stand up for this stuff. And
that.
it's like, you know, it doesn't change when you're at work sometimes.
Yeah.
It's wild.
That's so true. Like he doesn't get to just like walk away and be like, all right, that person sucks. Like
Right.
I'm kind of having another like check your white privilege moment right now because I was just in my head thinking like, oh yeah, I've quit a job like that before where I was like, fuck my boss. But then now I never have to see that boss again and I don't get treated like that otherwise. And like he doesn't get that privilege to like walk away. So
Right.
check my white privilege really quick. Yeah, my moment. Like, oh fuck, we're still doing this. Okay. It's like every day I'm like having another realization and another one and another one. I'm like, oh God.
Yes. I mean, that's the goal, to
Yeah.
understand and to acknowledge, oh my gosh, I've had these experiences that have maybe shifted my mindset and I've still been privileged in that situation.
Yeah. And it like I was gonna make a post about this last night and I literally typed it all the way out and then I accidentally deleted it and I was like, you know what, I'll just try again tomorrow. But I feel like a lot of us white people are like realizing our white privilege for the first time because we all just like thought like, well, I didn't grow up in a good neighborhood or I was homeless or I was a crack baby
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. I'm not white privileged. I didn't have like a picket fence or a house or whatever. But like
Right.
that's not what makes you white privileged. Like
Yeah,
and
you start with an advantage in life because of how society has created it to be, and people of color have started with a disadvantage in life. We could have the exact same situation. You can
exactly.
see these comparisons all the time. You can live the exact same life as a white person, but because of the color of your skin, it's not going to be the exact same. It won't be as successful sometimes.
Yeah.
Other times, I can tell you, I feel like maybe I'm more successful at 22 than some white people, but that doesn't mean that the course of our lives are better or worse. It's
Right.
just that we in different skin tones and different situations in life to deal with.
Exactly. I think the main problem right now with not everybody getting on the same page is just like a lot of people's egos are in the way. And it's like we can just put our egos down for a
Yes.
second and just like admit it's not saying that like fuck you because you're white. It's like just admit that like and at least acknowledge. If you can't admit it to everybody publicly, like fine. But at least acknowledge it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do some damn self-reflection and drop your ego
Yes.
and just like think about it. At least think about it. Like and with so many people it's just like so frustrating when they just are like trying to pull the all lives matter or like this life matters too or all this other stuff and I'm like that's not what we're talking about. Yes, valid, not what we're talking
Right.
about. Like that's not the problem right now. Like can we just drop your ego? We get it, we see you, but like over here, like back over here, come on.
Yes.
So what is something that you have done to try to make other people of other races feel more comfortable around you?
Oh gosh, where to even start? Um, I feel like no matter where we are, especially with JJ in my life, you want to seem smaller. Like you want to make your presence less known sometimes because you know that people feel inferior to you when they're not. They feel a little bit more afraid when you're around. I mean, when I'm walking in public, I'm like the most Caucasian talking Black girl you'll ever see. I was raised in a white community. That's all I am. And the way that I approach people is very calm and I'm very inviting. But when I'm with my boyfriend, people don't spark up conversation with me. So I feel like JJ tries to make himself feel smaller, and he's 6'3", like 300 pounds. The boy can't be any smaller than he already is. But he tries to make his presence less known. He doesn't talk as much. And even at his job now, he greets people and he says, "Hello, how are you?" Like, there was a woman just the other day that walked up to him, tiny little white woman. She said, "I'm so sorry for all of this. I'm sorry for how they treat you." And he's like the most calm person, and he's not very confrontational. And he just like nods his head like, "Yeah, yeah." And then she's like, "I would hug you, but we're social distancing right now." And he
Oh,
just like felt so awkward because she had to confront him about how people treat him and how her people treat him. And he's just like, I know that this happens. Like, thanks for apologizing, question mark. But at the
yeah.
same time, it's like, how do you go about that?
Yeah, I feel like that's like
It's weird.
obviously I'll never know that feeling, but like I feel that's going to be kind of like what's going to be happening kind of moving forward.
Right.
We're
Oh,
going to
it's
start
already
trying to,
happening.
right. And it's just, I feel like it's going to keep happening more and more. And I think it's going to kind of go in the lane with the change, like when people are starting to realize they
Yes,
want to
yes.
feel, but it kind of sucks because in my eyes, like I'm thinking like they're apologizing. I hope this is not true, but in my first reaction is like, are you apologizing just to make yourself feel better so you can move on? Or are you apologizing because
Right.
you really, really understand? And I mean, it's not really my place to like dissect how each person understands a situation. I feel like any effort is good effort, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to have these conversations, is because a lot of us are like trying to figure out how to understand better, and we want to hear things, we want to
Mm-hmm.
hear stories. But also not every person's going to want the apology, or not every person's going to want to have this conversation. They're going to be emotionally fatigued and like, this is a lot.
Right.
So like,
And like last week we went out to eat, and you know how they have like the outdoor patio bar. Like,
mhm,
we live in a white community.
mhm,
We are a couple of the only Black people here, and that's how it's been my entire life, obviously, with my
right,
parents. But now we live on our own, and we live in a very white community. And when we went out to eat, we got out of the car, and only white people are sitting outside. And when I walked with JJ, they just stared at him, and he sat down at the table and he said, "Babe, they're staring at me." And I said, "JJ, you're a large man. Like, yes, they are probably staring
mhm,
at you regardless, but they're staring at you, I think, because they want to see the soul that's in you." He's like, "They're staring at me in my eyes." I'm like,
yeah,
they want to see that there's humanity in people of color. For so long, they've been taught to just dismiss us.
yeah.
And I feel like people do feel bad, and they want to see that humanity in people. And they have to take that second look and to see, oh my gosh, he's a human. He's being killed. Like, his brothers and sisters, just like him, are being killed. I couldn't imagine that. Like, you just look at people differently, and they look at you differently now.
That's what I was saying last night, actually, is I feel like obviously I wrote this out. I was like, tell my friends I'm sorry. Like, I've seen you, obviously, but I feel like I'm finally seeing you for the first
Yes.
time. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's like kind of that. Like, they're kind of seeing him for like the first time. And it's like,
Right.
I'm not just seeing you as a walking person anymore. I'm seeing you for everything that you've had to go through, that I don't even need to have a
Yes.
conversation. I just know you went through it. And like, seeing somebody that you know so much about, but you don't know them at all. It's like so weird.
Yeah, it's
I'm,
another layer that you discover about
yeah,
somebody, because we don't really speak out about these things all that often.
right. And when there has been moments of speaking out, it wasn't ever heard to this magnitude, I don't think. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, because it's like the biggest thing ever so far. Um, and yeah, so I think that's probably going to be a new norm. So I feel
Yeah,
bad about it, but it's good at the same time that they're fine. Like, you guys
right.
are
It
finally
is.
being seen. So it makes me feel bad, 'cause like, I mean, if you're having a bad day, you don't want people staring at you, but it's like,
Yeah.
Whatever. It's good. In the end, I think it's good that you guys are being
Yes.
seen and heard and honored, and that's good. That part of it I'm good for. Who are three of your favorite or must follow IG accounts?
So I have a group message with my girls. It's like, what is it called? I think it's called Black Girl Magic. And it's Danielle Wilson,
Yeah.
Tay. She is a little taste on Instagram, and then a Jazzy Fit. And we just talk about everything. We just talk about what we're seeing, how people are responding to us. And it's probably the most empowering group message I've ever been a part of. And they are all three also in the fitness community. And there is such a lack of representation and diversity in the fitness community it was like, okay, well, we're going to flock together, you know?
Hell
So it's just really, they are so pure and they have the same message as me. And they've grown up with different experiences. I mean, Tay is like going to be a doctor. It's insane. She just graduated.
yeah.
She's
Oh my
working
god.
towards being a whole professional, and I'm so proud of her.
A whole
Danielle,
professional.
no, you're good. Danielle is like the most powerful voice ever,
Yeah.
and she advocates for everybody. And she's actually doing, I think, a live right now about like diversity and whatnot. And Ajazi, that's my best friend. We met through social media. I was a big fan of her to start, and then with Gymshark, we just became closer and closer, and we talk literally every single day. But they are three like very powerful and strong voices that are bringing education and bringing experiences and bringing awareness to not only Instagram in general, but the whole fitness community, which has been so like has such a lack of representation that it's like we have to make up for it.
Yeah. You guys are definitely like paving the way. I follow you and Danielle. Danielle's just got a special piece of my heart for whole
Yes.
reasons. But I haven't followed the other two people. Definitely want to go in there now because like this power group, like if half of you guys I know now are like this strong, I'm like, damn, like, all right, cool. Where did you grow up? We already kind of like went over this question a little bit, but so you were part of the minority. What was your experience with that specifically? Like,
My sister and I, we were the only like few Black kids in our entire school district, and I was a 13-year senior, so I went to school with the same people from like kindergarten to senior year of high school.
mhm,
And as we got older, like in high school, yeah, we had a few more people of color that joined our school and our district, but I mean, it was very white. It was very white. And I've known that I looked different than my friends for so long, but that didn't stop me from obviously having them as friends. I feel like sometimes it was like, not that they used me for this, but I was like the token Black girl, or I was the Black friend.
mhm,
And I know my friends now that I've carried with me through my life from school, they stand up for me regardless. They don't tolerate anyone talking about people of color any type of way. And I feel like my experience with growing up in a place where everybody looked the same except for me caused me to try to assimilate and try to look like them. But truly, you can't change your skin tone. You can straighten your hair like I did for 10 years and murder your hair, but it's just like when there's a lack of representation in the community that you're in, you just don't know where to go. You try so hard to assimilate, but honestly, I'd rather stand out.
I wish so badly, and I hope that like for future generations, like parents and communities like teach children more. But I wish so badly that as children and like the mentality of like comparing yourself at such a young age, like I wish they could
Hmm.
just understand that like what makes you the most popular, the most beautiful is when you do stand out. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right,
go
right.
for that. Like, be yourself, and you don't have to be anybody else. And that's like a
100%.
general rule. I just wish that kids could learn. It's so hard though, and I know that that's just like a whole
Yes.
nother battle on its own. But what beauty standards did you grow up seeing besides
Oh
that,
my
like on
gosh.
TV maybe?
Oh, I never grew up seeing anybody that looks like me. That was the problem. So I just felt obligated to throw myself into this pit of this is what I need to change about myself. This is how I have to act. Like I said, I straightened my hair, my curly, beautiful curls for years and years, trying to look like the people around me. I saw just I saw older women who were maybe light skinned, but there was not many. Like there were only a few. I remember growing up and I ran track as a kid and I was the fastest girl in my school. And I feel like a lot of people said, "Oh, it's because she's black." Okay, well maybe, but like weird. You don't have to point
Yeah.
that out. I literally like grew up loving what's her name? Allison Felix. She is a black Olympian and she ran track and she just like was my person that I looked to constantly because there was no one else and I related to her because I was like, I run track too. I'm black too. And for so long I was just like, this is who I want to be like. And
Yeah.
I still think that because she's a powerful woman. She's powerful and she shares her story and she shares her experiences. But other than that, you don't really look outside of the box when you're young. You
Yeah.
don't try to go find people who look like you. You're just kind of given like what you're dealt with and you deal with it that way. And you still try to assimilate and look like the people around you. I wish my mom told me not to straighten my freaking hair. Like, but she was like, okay, honey, do what you have to. I'm like, okay, I will.
I mean, have you ever tried to tell a teenager what to do or not to do?
Exactly. Like, if we look at some of the pictures that we uploaded to Facebook, I'm like, why would you
Oh,
let me wear these knee-high socks with my hair in a side pony with these freaking glasses that don't have frames in them? What's
God.
going on?
How do you think your mental health has been affected by your skin tone or race?
Oh, it just goes back to feeling like you're not good enough because there's nobody around you. And I think that for me, it was like I always had to fight for me feeling good enough by like training so hard that I was the fastest, so I stood out, or like speaking up and like yelling to have my voice heard. But for so long, you're just like kind of shut down. And I think that that already hinders your mental health. Like I struggled a lot when I was like a young teen with my mental health, not just because of what the world has given me, but because coming from a woman that was in addiction so heavily that already messes up your brain and you can't process things the way that you should anyway.
Mhm.
And then that thrown into, oh, I'm trying to find my identity and find who I am. It's just so confusing and it's so draining, especially right now. I think a lot of our mental health has taken a little bit of a hit. Like I was not eating regularly because I spent so much time on my phone trying to voice myself and spread awareness and made it so like known that I want to spread education. I was literally eating like a Chick-fil-A mini nugget and that was it. Like I needed to take a break.
Yeah, for sure.
Drank some sweet tea and I just kind of like I couldn't find that balance. And that's what I talked about in my story yesterday. You have to find that balance. And I know it's so fatiguing and it's so exhausting, but we have to be able to take care of ourselves. And with my fitness Instagram, I mean, it's such a big part of my life. And for the last week, I haven't worked out. And that's such a big relief, like a reliever for me. And it took everything out of me to the point where I was in my house for 4 days straight. I didn't leave because I was just in this bubble on my phone of trying to speak out and use my platform. But I neglected myself in the same way because you have to remember to eat. You have to remember to go outside and feel the sun on your skin and to take a walk and to like play with your dogs and, just find happiness in the small things that are in your own home.
Yeah, that was my next question was how are you staying strong and doing self-care during this time? So it sounds like you've got lots of walks and dog time and sunshine. Are you doing like
Yes.
face masks or anything?
Yes, sis. You know it. You know it. Have to. Self-care, dude.
Love me a
You
face mask.
literally a long shower, some deep breaths, a lot of sighs. You
Yeah.
have to let it all out because if you don't, it will eat you up inside. You have to let out that energy. And that's what me talking on my story for so long about these things was like, I had stuff that was pent up for so long, and it felt so refreshing to have it off my chest and for other people to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I
me
was about to ask
speaking is
you.
literally my form of self-care.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's beautiful. Oh my God. Okay. I'm gonna cry. Okay. I'm like over here like, oh, Sam, control yourself. Um, that's so beautiful. I love that. If you had $1,000,000 to donate to a charity right now, which one would you donate to and why?
Oh my gosh. Well, since I was little, St. Jude's, I know it's not necessarily about Black Lives Matter right now, but St. Jude's has been one of my absolute favorite charities. I remember literally going door to door asking if people wanted to donate to St. Jude when I was younger, because there was a little boy in our elementary school who had cancer, and he lost his battle with it, and he went to St. Jude's, and that's a children's research hospital where there is no fee. They will fight for these children's lives no matter what. No matter what economic background their parents come from, they don't care. They want to help these children because they've already been given such a shitty hand with having to deal with cancer. Nobody deserves that.
Yeah.
No human. So St. Jude's is one that I've always known about and loved. Color of Change. And also I'm contributing to the Kansas City protest bail fund, because I mean, I went to peaceful protest and it could have been me that got arrested for peaceful protesting. Instead, I was tear gassed 3 times, but it's just a fun to help those people who were peacefully protesting and got arrested, to give them the economic relief and the financial relief and to help them in their own community.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
there's so many amazing ones. I have a list that I am so excited to donate to.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you said something about St. Jude's too. So that question, I wanted to mix these questions of like, I want to know about you and your life and your just
Mm-hmm.
just about you, not necessarily 100% about you and the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm trying to like
Yes.
show people your voice and what makes you beautiful. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Also, I'm glad you mentioned all the other ones like Color of Change and stuff, because that's really good. And I am so happy that there are so many charities and so many ways to like help out with those protesters, because the stuff you make me
Yes.
so angry. Did you see that Seattle just put out a 30-day ban on tear gas at protests?
They should. That stuff should be illegal. When
Ugh,
I tell you I felt like my eyeballs were melting out of my face, I mean that sincerely. It
yeah,
is a weapon. It is
it
like
is.
a I don't even think they use it in war anymore. Like, that's not humane.
That's literally, I'm like,
And
ugh,
these rubber bullets that are hitting people in the face and disfiguring their freaking face,
yeah.
goodbye. Get rid of it. They're not even supposed to aim a gun with a rubber bullet at a person. It's supposed to hit the ground first and bounce up. And for people to be deliberately shot, like, a girl got shot in her boob and it
Ow.
freaking tore her boob up, dude. Your whole titty. That
Oh,
poor little
not the
giddy,
titty.
dude.
Not the titty.
I swear, like, and she showed, like, she obviously censored herself and covered her nipple, but like her whole boob was a bruise, one big
Ow.
bruise, and her skin was torn. And then there's the older man that was in a wheelchair, and they shot him with a rubber bullet. He's already disabled. Okay, don't be an asshole.
Oh my,
They shot him with a rubber bullet in the eye, and the photo of it, it looks like his freaking eye just fell out of his face. It's so sad. Like,
oh my God.
it's not like you don't see humanity in people. You are deliberately acting in such an awful way to
Yeah.
harm people. That's not okay.
And it's their egos, man. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that shit. Like these egos, they gotta go. Like they really gotta go. These like
Yeah.
I I was having a heated conversation last night about this. Like I get it that like cops don't want to be grouped in with the bad cops, but it's like when you have a bully
Mhm.
in school. If you're not sticking up while that bully is beating the shit out of somebody, then you're not helping anybody. Like
You're a
you're
bystander.
yeah, and that's the point that everybody's trying to make. And this conversation's not about the good cops right now. Like that, I'm so tired of seeing like the like Blue Lives Matter thing happening right now. I'm like, are you
Yeah.
joking? Like,
Are you okay?
literally though, are you okay? Like, can you put your ego down for just 1 second? This is not about you. This is not about the good cops.
Right.
If you wanted to talk about the good cops, fine. And you know what? Even above that, there are people talking about the good cops. That's why you see tons of them. We are seeing you too, but that's not the point. Like, what's going to make you a good cop is when you stand up for the people that are being done wrong, and like not
Right.
sitting here trying to be like, but I'm good. Like, okay, great, so go do your job then. Like, you don't need to sit here and like have a conversation with me about why you're good. Can you just go do your job? Like, come on. If you put that much energy
Come on.
into
Literally.
the other side as you're putting into just trying to separate yourself from being a good cop or a bad cop, like put your energy somewhere else. Like, put your ego
Right.
down, do some self-reflection, realize, yes, you chose a career that has a bad rep right now. Sorry, but you signed up for this, so now it's up to you to make the difference. You know that already.
Yes.
Just accept it and let's go. Like, come on.
Accurate.
Heated. I'm getting heated. So annoying. I'm probably gonna get disowned from my family for saying that, and I don't care. Let me see here. What's the next question? What is something most people don't know about you?
Well, I've kind of put it all out there now at the moment. Most people, I would tell people that I was adopted all the time. But I never really went into depth, especially on social media, about why. And my biological mom struggled with substance abuse, and my sister and I do have fetal alcohol syndrome, and we were little crack babies. That's something that I never shared until yesterday and maybe one other time on my stories, but I really sugarcoated it.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually like, dove into the reason and how that affected me. But yeah, I will also be a first generation college graduate in my family. And yes, my entire family is white, and I will be the first one. And I am
Hell
black.
yeah.
And that is
Yes,
something to be
queen.
said.
Yes, I'm so excited for you. What's your minor
Thank
and your
you.
major?
I am majoring in communications. I got my associates of science. I went to JUCO, which is where I met my boyfriend in 2016.
Yeah.
And then I'm minoring in psychology, which I was going to minor in women and gender studies, but I just found psychology to be so interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I still have credits towards women gender studies. I just wanted to make that my minor. But yeah,
I love
love
that.
it. And I do all my school online anyway, even prior to COVID, making it online. So it's
Yeah.
already given me the opportunity to travel and to be able to like have time to set aside for myself to do my own schoolwork rather than being on campus and going on account of someone else's time, especially when social media has consumed my life as much as it has now. It just was not realistic for me to try to sit in classes
Right.
because I can't do it.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's real hard. I'm in there right now and I'm like, I haven't
Yeah.
been in school in 10 years. I'm not good at this. Sorry, guys. Like,
Time management, it's a difficult thing to do, dude.
it's so hard. But I am so freaking proud of you. Wow, that is amazing. And I love psychology. So I
Thanks.
think that's really cool. And I think it's really awesome that you told your story for like the first, second time yesterday. That's really beautiful, coming from somebody who like also was born into the same type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still obviously with my biological mother, so I went through it fully on that side
Right.
of things. But like something that I grew up with is like when people identify you as that, or when you identify in that circle is so hard to break, where you don't
Yes.
become addicted to drugs or you don't fall into the
Yes.
same.
Yes.
And so I think it's
That
really
is so
important.
true.
It is very true. And I think it's really important that we do share our success stories so that people will have hope that, like,
Yeah.
you were born into that, but that's not what you can
You're
choose
more
your
than that.
life. Yeah, you can choose
Mm-hmm.
what way you go. And that's the whole reason I'm in social work now, is because I wanted to get to the children that are in that right now and be like, you
Yes.
can be more than this.
I
You
love
can
that so much.
be more, yeah. So I'm glad that you're sharing it too. And I hope you end up at 10 million billion followers that get to hear that.
It's crazy, dude. The influx of people. I honestly can't keep up with it. I'm so happy I saw your freaking message.
Yeah, I'm so glad too. I was like, I don't feel like anybody's gonna see this right now. And I was really nervous. I was like, I hope nobody finds this like rude to like want to just talk, but I just want to really keep this conversation going. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
However we do it, whatever way, I want to be respectful. I want to make you comfortable, but I want to keep the conversation going because I just feel like this is how it's going to not just be popular right now. Let's be the Karens on the internet that just post what everybody else is posting. Like, no,
Yes.
I want to do more than that. I want to like make sure that we're doing this. And I've done things like this before where I've tried to share like Black stories, but like I said, right now I'm kind of woke as a white person for the first time in a different way.
Right.
And I felt like I needed to revisit this kind of a project. So I'm really, really thankful you saw that and you wanted to participate in this because I just think that your story, even now learning more about you right now, like it's just so even more amazing. I'm like,
Thanks.
so happy.
I'm so happy to share it. I'm so proud of myself and where my sister and I have come from. And I'm really freaking proud of my parents for being so resilient and working so hard for us and giving us the best life that they could, because I did not, like, my parents were not, like, by any means wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I did not grow up in upper class. If anything, we were part of the, like, poverty level and middle class.
Yeah.
And it just shows that regardless of where you come from, regardless of what you have, you can do something to make a difference.
Yeah, for sure. That's like something that I see all the time. I think that when people think of, oh, this white lady just adopted a baby, you're like thinking, oh, she lives in this beautiful, like,
right,
presidential looking house.
We're not Angelina Jolie out here.
Yeah,
Like, not
no,
everybody has tens of millions.
it's
It's
not
just
like
regular people that want to make a difference.
Yeah, most of my clients actually live in kind of shitty neighborhoods, to be honest, and like they just wanted to make a difference, or they couldn't like have children themselves. Some of them, or maybe they had a couple children but couldn't have any more, or they really have a heart or a passion for saving kids and changing lives. And however, for whatever reason, there's no bad reason to have a foster kid or an adoptive kid. Like, it's like just that there's a lot of a stigma around there. And then there's also stigma that like, oh, you're gonna adopt a kid or you're gonna foster a kid and everything's gonna be beautiful and butterflies and glitter.
It's hard sometimes. Like, you could the reason that children are sometimes put up for adoption is just because their parents can't provide them the life that they deserve. I understand that, but also a lot of us are screwed up because of our biological parents' actions and their decisions that they made while they were pregnant, or before they were pregnant, or after they were pregnant, and we have to be removed from that situation. Like, for us, my sister and I, our biological mom, she did not have the option to keep us. We were taken from her from the start because we were on withdrawal. She obviously was using when we were born and when she was pregnant with us.
Yeah, and there's laws that take you straight into the foster care or adoption system. So that's really awesome because obviously, like I said, I see that every day. So it's awesome to talk to somebody who's grown now from the other side of it, because I'm always seeing the stages. I'm always holding the babies that are like that, or, you know, like, I'm always trying to help with that side of things. And you don't, in this position, you don't get to see most of the time the kids that are now 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, whatever, that are finally out of it and doing things for themselves and making good choices. You don't get to see that side. So selfishly right now, I'm very happy about this conversation.
Yeah, I am too.
So cute.
I am too.
So obviously your Instagram is Libby Christensen. Is there any other ways that listeners could support you?
I have a YouTube channel, which is just Libby Christensen. You can look up my name. I have some hauls on there. I have a couple vlogs and whatnot. With me quitting my job and doing social media full time, I have really wanted to make my YouTube a bigger priority, to share who I am. And now I feel like I have the mental capacity to do it and to actually not sugarcoat things. I'm also sponsored by Alani Nutrition and Gymshark, which I'm so proud. They are incredible people and incredible companies. But yeah, I'm pretty much wherever a loud voice is yelling from.
That's gonna be you over there.
Yeah, like I'm just the one
Good.
that's screaming in the corner.
Good.
Don't
Keep
worry.
doing it. Don't stop. Don't let anybody ever make you quiet. Keep going. So the last question that I have is, do you have any advice that you would like to give to future generations? And what action would you like to see next in the Black Lives Matter movement?
Gosh, future generations, just don't be silent. Keep your voice loud and bring awareness in education in all facets, like in anything. We all need to be educated on so many things, regardless of what you look like. I've seen so many people that have had to correct their parents for their racial or racist tendencies, and it's empowering to see white girls standing up to their parents. Like, it makes me happy for their voices to like shout these things from the rooftops and to try to correct their parents who have learned to be racist.
Yeah.
But just don't stop. That you always have to fight for yourself, the people around you, and what you believe in as hard as you can. And it will not go unnoticed.
Yeah.
Because this started with, I think, well, just a few people saying we need to protest, we need to stand up for this. And look at it now. It's insane.
Yeah. It really is. It's
And
beautiful.
next for the Black Lives Matter movement, we better have some damn equality up in this bitch. We better have some equality. You hear me? Like, we need it now. It's my money and I need it now. It's my freedom and I need it now.
Hell yeah.
Opening my window to scream that shit.
Yes. Oh my God.
I would like
Give
there
me a
to be a
microphone. I'll
change
help.
within the system of like teaching in the system. Because if you haven't watched 13th on Netflix, please do so. But
I did. I was
it's
sick.
crazy.
That was a
It
lot.
has to
But
change from within. And
yeah.
yeah, and what I was saying on my story is that we can take all of the action that we want online. We can sign every single petition that we want, but until we get our petition and our words into a person in office that cares, nothing will change. We have to vote. We have to have the right candidates for us, the people that believe in human rights. Just, we have to push and push and push until things are changed by those who can change it.
Absolutely. Preach that. I
Yes, ma'am.
on that, just add one little thing to that. I saw that they are trying to change in textbooks. I think before this, obviously, they were going to try to change the word slavery into immigrant workers. And I was like, the fuck you are? No, leave that shit alone. Like, they were not. It was
Yeah,
not
what the hell?
Yeah.
You better throw that word out there. Slavery.
Yeah, that you better
You
call it like it
enslaved us.
was, and you better tell it like it was, because that's how it was, and it's not okay. And honestly, when I was watching 13, I was like, or 13th, I was like, how come nobody ever like taught me this shit in school? Like, I didn't.
Exactly.
And I grew up in a school where I was the minority. How come even in those schools we weren't being taught this? Are you kidding? Like, I grew up where I think the majority of my people that were at my school were Black and Mexican, and I was like one of 4 maybe white people in that school. And then I moved to a white high school after that, and that was weird for me because I came over there with like cornrows in my hair. And they were like, excuse me, we wear Hollister. I'm like, oh fuck, my bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, damn. And I was
oh
not.
My goodness.
Yeah, no, I was not like that. I was like rolling
That's
up.
a culture shock for you too, to go back to a school of all white people that look like you because you were raised in a very diverse area.
They used to call me Buck Wild from like Flavor Flav because I was like ghetto or whatever. I would act ghetto, and I was like, whatever, dude. I had like Fila's on, and, like a rolled up like white tee, like an oversized white tee on my first day with like skinny jeans and cornrows in my hair. That was my first day of freshman year. And they were like, who is this girl? I'm like, look, this is what I was wearing like for my whole life until just now. So
yeah.
And this was fine. This is what I was taught to wear over here to try to blend in, like kind of like what you were saying. And like, it makes me angry that even in that school before, I never learned half the stuff that I just saw on that documentary. And like, I have a list of other documentaries I need to go watch still too. Like I said, I'm in school, so I can only watch so much right now at this time. Like I'm trying to
Yeah.
do like at least one a day, or at least read like, you know, whatever. But I
Yeah.
saw 13th yesterday and I was just like, what the fuck? Like nobody talked
Insanity,
about
dude.
this.
And I remember, oh, go on.
Oh, sorry, I was just saying, and
Please.
nobody talked about it. Like,
Yeah. When I was younger, like I said, my sister and I were like the only Black babies in the district. And I remember in like third grade, we watched, I forget what it's called, but it was a movie about Ruby Bridges, who is the first African American to enter a white public school system. And it caused havoc. And being the only Black kid in the class watching that, I'm like, well, I'm the only Black kid here. Like, this shit hasn't changed. What's going on? And
yeah,
Ruby Bridges, she's literally only 65 today. It's insane
yeah.
that all of this is like, it's all quite recent, but it needs to be like, things have to change ASAP Rocky. Like, let me tell you. It's weird because then I would get all these stares from people like, oh my gosh, she's the only Black one here too. I'm like, I am Ruby Bridges. Like, I'm channeling my Ruby.
Yeah, fuck you, man. I'm inspirational too, then bye. Like,
Right.
wow, that,
I felt that from a young age. I was like, I know I'm meant for more, whatever it is. I know it'll come to me. And I feel like this is it. I
this is
feel
it.
like
This
this
is
is
your
it.
moment. This is it.
I'm here.
This is really powerful shit too. Like, this is gonna, I really kind of feel like this is gonna be even bigger remembered than like the MLK days. Like for real though, like I feel like that was hella
Yeah, with our
inspiring,
technology now,
bigger.
none of this will die down.
No, it will not.
Yeah.
Especially when people continue these conversations. And like, I really, I'm like, everybody send me every petition. I'm about to like, just like, let's go. Let's fuck this shit up. I want to do it.
Right.
But I think everybody needs to be doing that. And everybody needs to be trying their best. If they're not using their voice on social media, at least be using your voice in person. Like, and if you realize that
Yes.
you have a moment where you need to check your white privilege, just do it. Like, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing to just like admit, hey, I need to check this real quick. Like, I'm realizing this right now. Like, I had a moment in the middle of this podcast I needed to check, and it's not a big deal. Like, we just need to do that.
Right. And it's not like anybody's trying to attack you for your privilege. We're just trying to inform you. And like you said, like, we just have a candid, casual conversation, and you just are like, oh my gosh, white privilege.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. It
And
should be
it's
that
like,
way.
you learn things by having these conversations, and it's, again, not an attack, and like nobody's trying to be like offensive. Of course, you know, you try to be careful when you talk, but it's like at the same time, we need to have these authentic conversations where we're like, this is what I was doing wrong, and I'm sorry, and I'm okay now, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to do better. Like, and
Right.
that simple. It doesn't have to be like, fuck you for that. Like, then nobody
Right.
to say that.
Nobody's mad at you for being white. We're just upset at what situations we're dealt.
Yeah, it's, I said this the other day, but being pro-Black is not being anti-white. Like,
Yes.
you don't have to choose. You just choose to be equal is the goal.
Yes.
Like, and just, it's not that like we're trying to justify that like we didn't do this or we didn't feel this way. Like, I'm sure you didn't realize it, but it was happening and you were benefiting from it, and it's not okay. And it's okay now to be like, all right, I admit that, and like, let's move on and let's fix it, and like,
to move forward with it.
drop the ego and let's go.
Drop the damn ego, please.
Literally, I'm about to just go off and be like, drop your ego, bitches, like on every person. And it's be like, why is this girl so crazy? I don't know.
Literally, humble down. It's okay, everybody. Just learn.
Well, Libby, thank you so much for joining me and talking to me and sharing some of your experiences with me. I really enjoyed getting to know you better and learning more about you. And I'm so excited to not only like watch what you do in the world with this movement, but also as like a poster child for, you know, the background that we both share. And that's so special to me, and I'm so glad that I found you through this.
Thank you. I'm so happy that I was able to come on here. It's been fun. It's been insightful.
It has been. I hope you had a good time. And yeah, all right, I'm going to link all of Libby's items of like her YouTube and Instagram. And on her Instagram, there is a link for her Gymshark link if you'd like to support her through Gymshark. And Alani, all that information is on there. And yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.